Okay, go ahead.
Jared, Nathan actually said he never thought he would get to 50. He said he can't believe he actually did it. What's your reaction to what he did?
Well, I'm not surprised he got 50, but we've grown accustomed to seeing some really special performances, right, at different times during the year from him and some other guys on our roster. But like that was pretty much as dominant a performance as you could have in my books, because we didn't talk anything about offense, over the last couple days. And so when I was watching Nate play, I was just watching to how dialed in he was going to be on the defensive side of it, and he was dialed in. It's important for your top guys to take the message that we're selling to the team and then lead by example in that, and he did that. And because of the way he defended, he comes up with these rush opportunities, and I've seen him be fast out of those holes before in the D zone and explode through the neutral zone, but tonight it was a whole new level. Some guys around him made plays, but highly committed, 200-foot game, and then to be able to go and get, was it 3-1? 3-1 on a night when we needed to win. I just thought it was just a stellar performance, special performance.
Well, why can great defense lead to better offense?
Well, when you're checking the puck back and the other team's trying to score on your end, when you check it back, they're in an offensive posture, generally not in a defensive posture. And when you're checking it back quickly, you're going to play with the puck more and be able to go on the attack more. It's just that simple, for me. And we did a nice job. 5-on-5 tonight. I don't know, you'd have to look through the scoring chances. I don't want to give you a number, but it's low. The lowest of the season for sure. Maybe the lowest in the last 5 seasons, 5-on-5. So we had some troubles on the penalty kill early. That got better as the game went on. But I just thought, not just the offensive side of it, but when you mix it in on what he did defensively, it was outstanding.
Up until last season, MacKinnon traditionally has nearly been a better performer and a better producer in the playoffs than the regular season. It's hard to say given where he's at, but do you feel like there's another level for improvement?
If he could continue doing what he's doing, I'd be really happy. That's all I can say.
He gets that unsportsmanlike penalty.
Yeah.
And then kind of comes out focused, shot out of MacKinnon like he was. Is that something that maybe kind of locks him in there?
I think he was focused long before that, the opening face-off of the game, really, honestly. Yeah, and I feel his frustration. I get it. I get frustrated with the officials at times, and because it's when you do what he does and you make a skill play and you drive the slot or you get a breakaway, and every time you make what would be a high-end skill play to drive the slot, you have sticks all over your hands and they're horizontal, and that's supposed to be the cue, and it doesn't ever seem to get called, But we pick up every play that you could not call on the perimeter, and it's a penalty. And they are penalties, but so Nate tends to get into that area more than anybody else, and he gets more infractions on them than anybody else. But they're not always called. And even tonight on the breakaway goal, there's a parallel stick in his hands before he scored it, and I didn't see any arms going up. So that's the game is supposed to be rewarding skill, and it's just it's probably not consistent enough for him. Remember what the standard that he holds himself to, he also holds all of his teammates, coaches, officials too. So that's why it can get frustrating for him. It's why he earned himself a 2-minute penalty tonight. But I didn't like that he took the penalty, but I'm not going to disagree with what he was saying.
You guys had a streak there from the Dallas game to early in this one. It was 5 straight penalties, 5 straight penalty kills where you guys had surrendered a goal.
Yeah.
How do you coach a team out of such a rut like that?
Oh, there's a couple tricks that you can go to and use, try to get over. I just felt like we were standing around, trying to be in the perfect spot, but standing around. Which just when you get standing around against good teams, well, every team's power play, every team's, it's usually dangerous. More time, more space, more time to get your eyes up. You're playing shorthanded, so there's always a man open, and teams will pick you apart. They're just too good. So the first thing you try and do is get super aggressive, have a real good rush coverage, and then get skating and using your legs and put teams under duress a little bit to rush them. And that's without making any X's and O's changes from the first two to the last one. It's what Prater did. He got him skating and working harder and getting a little bit more desperate, and then we kill off 3 in a row.
Coach, from Georgie,
Go ahead.
from Georgie to the defense, was this the kind of rock solid hitting game you mentioned that you wanted to see today? And those
So it's
kind of-
exactly what we needed to see. Exactly.
Jonathan Giroux surpassed his career high in points. Just looking at players like MacKinnon and Giroux who've come to Colorado and experienced something of a revival, is that something you take pride in?
I
as a
do.
coach?
I do, because especially when you, like, speaking of those two guys specifically, and you're always trying to get your players, or I am, is just you want to see the best version of what they can be, right? And it could have been misguided when, like, players get drafted at 17, and every year there's someone comes out, that's the next Nathan MacKinnon, that's the next Sidney Crosby, the next Connor McDavid, whatever. They're comparing them, always trying to compare them to the best guys in the league, right? That could be his ceiling. But the reality of it is those guys are elite and generational guys, right? But there's somewhere in there's a version of them that can be highly effective at whatever it is that they do well, and that's what we try to get out of our players. And the better they are at sort of reaching their ceiling, the better team we're going to be, right? So I still don't know what Drew's ceiling is, but he's making a pretty nice case for himself that he's a really well-rounded, high-skilled 200-foot player, because the trust that we have in him as a staff to be able to play against all the other team's top lines every night, regardless of whether that was with Nate or not with Nate, he's handling it really well. And so, like, I like the version of him now, and I want to see it continue to grow. And same thing with Val, like I didn't know he's coming off a year with no goals, and he took him a while to get his first one here, and then he just kept working at every aspect of his game. And again, another really well-rounded 200-foot player that can produce offense and can check other teams' top players.
Coach, you used the phrase lead by example earlier. The way that first period ends and Nate comes out and steps his game up another level, is that the type of leader that he is in the room?
Yeah. Like his leadership is, it doesn't turn off, right? Like, it's just like every day the way he approaches the game. Like all of our new guys, like, they're sort of blown away by it when they get here. It can be off-putting sometimes, but it's just like that's the way he is, and one thing he's gonna do is lead by example, right? Like all of his other strengths and weaknesses is like, if you just want to learn how to be a good pro, that's what you do. You just watch Nate. And I don't think I would guess that we're not the only, like, it's not just our guys watching what he does. Like, it's players around the league going, why is this guy so good, and trying to learn from it.
Corey.
Cale Makar has 20 goals and 87 points. That's the most anyone's ever had here. Points for defenseman. He's always critical of himself. Like, everything about Nate is, this is the best thing anyone's ever seen, but it doesn't feel like that with Cale. I'm just wondering how you sort of put his season in context now that he's set the franchise record for points.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think that Cale and Nate, they get their fair share of credit around the league. Like, I don't think it's a secret. I guess the best compliment you could get is, like, in reality, do you think any team that you face with a coach has been in the league for 25 years, do you think they're gonna, like, address and talk about Cale and Nate in their pre-scout? Yeah, every night. Every night they're preparing for those guys, right? And our team certainly knows what they provide. I like the fact that all those guys are critical of their own game, It means that they're just trying, like, you put up 4 points. Well, if you weren't very good defensively, then there's an area to improve on, right? Because we want to be like a complete, that's what takes a win. You got to be dialed in on every aspect of it. So if Kale has a rough night or gives up a bad scoring chance against, or they get a penalty kill goal where he's late going someplace or in the wrong lane and he has 3 points, he's going to be critical of himself. And same thing vice versa. If he's really good defensively, but he knows that our team needs him to produce on the offensive side, he'll be critical of himself. And I like that. As long as you're not using like a negative talk towards yourself, that you know that you're just striving to be better and you're going to work to be better. It's exactly what we want.
Last one.
Georgiev is trending in the right direction. You're pretty happy with him tonight.
Yeah, I was happy with yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys are going to ask me every night whether if the goalie was good, what did I think of him, or if he was bad. I mean, he did his job perfectly tonight. I thought he was great. Yeah.
Thanks, Jared.
Thanks.